Are you thinking about buying the St. Croix Bass X, but you're not sure if it's the right one for you? Well, I've actually had this particular rod for over a year now, and I've got a few opinions on it. This particular model is the 7'1" medium heavy power fast action. It's been a pretty good rod to me, but overall I do have a few opinions of things I don't like, some things I do like, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start fishing, I'm gonna share those things with you as I fish, and then at the end of this video we're gonna draw a conclusion on whether or not this rod might be good for you, or if a different one might make more sense. Anyways, let's stop yipping and yapping, let's start casting and blasting, let's go. I'm gonna try this Boar Hogs by Z-Man. Green pumpkin, good color. I've only used this once or twice, but it's kind of a neat looking bait. It has a great profile. I feel like the bass will slurp it. Full transparency, I did make a video on this rod already, but it was actually the day I first got it. So what I wanted this video to be is more of a year later review to see if any of my opinions have changed. So I think the first thing is what I dislike about this rod. Let's start with the negative comments and then let's get into the positive comments. So just to paint the picture, I want to talk about why I picked this rod up in the first place. I had broken several years ago my 7'1" medium heavy, or maybe it was 7 foot medium heavy, I don't know, but I hadn't replaced it yet. So I simply wanted to replace it with something that would do the job. So I picked this up. I did a little bit of research, but really not a whole lot. I just picked something up that I thought would do the trick. But really what it came down to is my main goal for this rod was to get something that was gonna be good for Texas rigs and jigs, but really I wanted something that was gonna be an all-purpose rod, just something I could basically throw anything on if I needed to. In my experience, a lot of times that 7 foot medium heavy range, you can really throw anything on, all the way from top water to jigs to crankbaits. It really doesn't matter. It may not be perfect for everything, but it's good enough for everything. But the biggest gripe I had with this rod is that immediately I noticed that it's very tip heavy. And how that affects it is, while it's okay for Texas rigs and jigs and whatnot, I really don't like it for moving baits. It just doesn't really meet my needs very well for stuff like chatterbaits, swim jigs, so on and so forth. With moving baits, I just think balance is so key. Just the way that I work it, the way that I set the hook, the way that I position the rod in my hands, having something that's tip heavy just does not feel comfortable for those style of baits. Here's a bite. Oh, missed him. I think he was a dink. No matter what the model is, my guess is that they're all gonna be slightly tip heavy. And so that would just be something to be cognizant of. It's not to say that the rod's bad, and you never know. If you use a little bit heavier reel than me, it might actually balance out really good. The next thing that I'm not super pumped about is the fact that I really do think that this rod, even though it's rated as a fast action, I think it performs a lot closer to a moderate fast. It has bend further down the blank than I would have expected. I was hoping it would have a little bit more beef to it, so that way when I slam back on something like a jig or a Texas rig, I can really beast them in. But this one's just a little bit lighter than I would have expected, and you know, that just causes a little bit of issues. But overall, I mean, it's still a great rod. So I guess getting to the, well, I guess there's one more little thing that I don't like about it, and that's just simply the hook keeper. Very minimal in the grand scheme of things, but it's just an inconvenience. I just don't know why companies don't all use the one type of hook keeper. I'll overlay some footage of the type I like. But it essentially is the kind that you can put a rigged bait on. You don't have to unrig your bait, so you don't have to tear up plastics. I'm not super confident in this little Z-Man bait. I'm gonna put on something else. You can never go wrong with a speed craw. For the price, I mean, it's a pretty light rod. I'm not gonna lie. It's, you know, anything else that's in the $100 range is probably not gonna be much lighter than this, put it that way. The next thing I like about it, I think it's pretty sensitive for the price point. I love it for small Texas rigs, small tube jigs, shaky heads, jigs, so on and so forth. So for a technique specific rod, it's amazing, it's perfect. It fits in my arsenal really well, and it pretty much comes with me on every trip. Okay, enough yipping and yapping. We gotta start catching some fish. Oh man, just casted that directly into the tree. So I blame the rod for this. People, if you buy a St. Croix Bass X, you probably will cast it directly into trees. I do want to note, just because I've mentioned some of the things that I don't like about this rod, don't take it that I'm really hard on the rod company. St. Croix makes a darn good rod. They provided a great customer experience, and I totally enjoy this thing. I would definitely buy from St. Croix again. There we go. Not actually a bad fish, actually. Choked it. right up under the dock where he was supposed to be. Okay, okay. He's thrashing like hardcore. Jabbed him. So far the bite's pretty slow, but hey, just smoked that guy under a dock. Can't complain about that. The Bass X handled beautifully. Hopefully you got to see a little bit of how that bend really was in the rod, kind of see what the action was like. Got him. No! Gosh dang it, my drag slipped. That was a solid fish. Gosh dang it, that was a 3-pounder. I don't know why that happens on Shimano's. I'm gonna blame my reel for that one because I don't know what happened, but my drag just straight up slipped. Oh my gosh. Did you guys see that? He freaking chased it up. Maybe I need to be throwing a moving bait. Let's tie on a swim jig. All right, got this little bluegill swim jig tied on, and I'm thinking this might be the ticket. I swear. Oh, one's dinking. Got him. Not a bad fish. He just barely ate it. Oh, God bless. He just splashed me in the face. They are feisty once they get it, my friends. But he just barely tapped on it. I got him right through the upper lip. That is beautiful. That is beautiful. Look at that fish, baby. All right. Yes. Oh man, there's got to be a fish in that juicy tree. There's a bite. Oh, missed him. God bless it. I'm telling you guys, if this rod had a little bit more beef to it, I would have caught that fish. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and blame my equipment. It's on me. It's totally on me. And part of the reason it's on me is because I'm not using the proper equipment. They call this a fast action, and I really truly believe that it's not. And so I guess the conclusion is that in a world where we're spending so much of our money online, I find that it's pretty important to feel a fishing rod before you buy it. I didn't feel this. I bought it on the internet. If I would have felt it, I very well may have chose something else that had a little bit more beef to it. But ultimately, I'm not going to complain too much because it's still a good rod. And if you're looking for a good rod, I think the St. Croix Bass X is definitely a good choice. I would just highly advise that you pick it up and feel the model you want first. There we go. Little guy. Got him swimming it though. Detected the bite well. He just barely tapped it. Not a very big fish. So that shows that this rod is relatively sensitive. Ah, gotta love it. Oh man, he had that for a while. There we go. I had a little backlash, fixed it, and he was on there. He choked it. Boom shakalaka. Man, he just chomped it. Barely had him hooked. There we go, folks. Another nice little fish. You know what, folks, today was pretty fun. Even though I missed a big fish and the fishing was relatively slow, it wasn't all about fishing today. It was mostly about reviewing this here rod. And I tell you what, I like the Bass X. It's a good rod. I would definitely purchase it again, but I think my biggest piece of advice is I would want to pick this rod up, any of the models, before I purchased it. Now, that definitely goes for every rod out there, but some companies just seem to be more consistent with their power and their action. And this one just wasn't quite what I expected. Either way, great rod, definitely recommend. I don't think you can go wrong. If you have any more questions on this here rod, guess what? I'm super active on YouTube, so drop a comment below and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Anyways, have a good day. We'll catch you next time.